Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to the only thing better than a double unboxing, a triple unboxing. San Martin are undoubtedly the most prolific of the AliExpress brands. They pump out new models faster than I can review them. So much so that I've made a couple of top 10 new San Martin videos just to try and keep on top of their output. Now they sent me a few of their new releases recently and I thought I would share the joy of peeling off the stickers with all of you in the form of a triple unboxing. That clearly means this video is sponsored by San Martin. I do not have to send the watches back to them after I'm done. As such, I will leave links to all three in the official store in the description of the video if you want to have a closer look and check out some of their nice photography of each of the models. Now it does appear that San Martin have changed their packaging since I last reviewed one. I can see pros and cons to both old and new. Leave me a comment, let me know what you prefer. Have you bought one recently with the new small box? Is your house overrun by the old large plastic tube packaging like mine is? Anyway, let's flip the camera and peel off three sets of stickers. Old packaging, and new packaging. Now I can totally understand why they dumped these. This is an old logo, this is about 3 years old, this one. These look like they cost 10 cents because they probably cost 10 cents. They keep a watch safe in transit, but really nowadays it's the Addies, dives, etc. that use these. More suitable for a $100 watch than a $200, $300, $400 watch, as San Martin now cost. But I must admit, I quite liked their old packaging. Perhaps a little bulky, but it contained everything you needed rather neatly. Warranty card, etc. and your dog tag and your toothpick and whatever else they chose to include, all at the bottom of the box, in stark contrast to the new packaging, where your warranty cards sit at the bottom of this white cardboard box, meaning if you want to keep everything together, you are obliged to keep everything in the white box, and they still insist on giving you this bag of stuff, but now it sits separate entirely. Perhaps they could come up with a slightly neater solution whereby all of this could be contained within the one package like it used to. Anyway, I always say we don't buy them for the boxes, do we? So triple unboxing today, I'm going to go left to right. Now there are two watches that I'm really keen to see. One I'm not quite sure about. I'll need to see it in the flesh when I open it up. Let's see what I have ended up with first. A couple of them I've kind of featured on the channel before one way or another. Let's see. Oh, that's the one I was hoping for. I included that sight unseen in a video in March for the anniversary sale. I was hoping they would send me one, and they did, because it looks incredible. These are $220 or thereabouts. That is not an awful lot of money considering what you're getting here. And what you're getting here is a big, chunky, Seiko-powered Seiko look-alike dive watch with sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel, etc., etc., and a monoblock case. Let's get the stickers off of this one. And let's do the main case wrap together because I suspect this one is going to be quite satisfying. Ready? Oh, yeah, that is a handsome looking watch. One more sticker, case back protector. Now, it may be protecting the back of the case, but it's not actually protecting any script or anything. It is just plain because it's the back of the case as opposed to a case back, if you see what I mean. Yeah, monoblock case. I've not seen one of these in years. They are a bit of a rarity. All right, we're back, we're sized, and we are set. Clearly San Martin have taken inspiration from Seiko for this one. Very Marine Master with this monoblock case. Very sumo as well in terms of the dimensions and the way it wears. One inspiration I would rather they hadn't taken is pin and collar system. No screw links. I had my screwdrivers out ready to find pin and collar, but it is a central collar, not the nightmarish side link collar of the Seiko Mini Turtle that I unboxed earlier on during the week. So what are those dimensions then? Well, 44mm in diameter, 14.3mm thick, with a lug-to-lug of 50.3. Large, but wearable, very sumo-esque as discussed, as is the 20mm lug width. You notice female end lengths though, that helps a lot. Quite a taper on this, down to 16, back up to 18 for the clasp. Sized up for me, 7-inch wrist, it weighs in at 173 grams. Because it's got a monoblock case, they've squeezed 300 meters of water resistance out of it. That is a double domed sapphire crystal, and it's powered by a Seiko NH35. The bracelet is perhaps a little bit small considering the head of the watch. 3-link oyster style, there is a bit of articulation there. Could have done with a couple of extra links though. I only had to remove 2 of these, plus I'm on the innermost hole. If you have a wrist of 8 inches or larger and are naturally inclined to wear 44mm watches, you might struggle for links with this one. It's their standard clasp as well, with the separate piece, the hexagon San Martin logo, 4 holes of micro adjust, high polished edges, and it is a milled upper and milled lower. Case finish is very nice, high polished sides, brushed upper surfaces. San Martin hexagon also on the crown down there at 4 o'clock, again very Seiko. Coin edge bezel with ceramic insert. I'll give you a triple loom shot towards the end of the video. By the way, don't worry, I'm not going to forget the loom pigs out there. 120 click, unidirectional. Yeah, you can hear that, I'm sure. It's rather nice and everything lines up as it should. Looks fantastic on wrist, black and gold all day long. I love black and gold. Quite wearable on my 7-inch wrist as well, thanks to the female end links in the bracelet and the fact that they've kept the lug-to-lug under 51, just over 50. Not bad for a 44mm diameter watch. I guess the slightly small bracelet helps. No diver's extension or anything on that, so yeah, you probably want to put it on a rubber strap if you do want to get it seriously wet. Now they have 14 at the hands, which obviously impacts the legibility. It would be easier to read at a glance had they left those indices as white against black, but because it's a fairly sizable watch, yeah, still no problems at all. Well proportioned hands, indices, and dial generally. But this is a monoblock case. That means if there's a problem with the movement, you can't just screw the case back off and fix it or replace it. You have to take the bezel off, you have to take the glass off, you have to take the dial and hands off. You go in from the front rather than in from the back. That means I have to put this one on the time grapher and see how it's running, because you're pretty much stuck with how it's running out of the box. So with tolerances from the factory anywhere between -25 and +40, it's a bit of a crapshoot. What did I get? Ooh, I got relatively lucky. +5 seconds per day, a little bit of beat error, but nothing too worrying. Yeah, that's okay just as well, because like I said, adjusting this is pretty much impossible. It's not gonna happen unless you've got the tools and unless you're brave. All right, little green tube number 2 then. What have we got inside this one? Let's have a look. Oh, we have got their new skin diver in blue. This is the one that I wasn't too sure about. Let's get it out and have a look. So from the biggest watch on the table to the smallest watch on the table today, this is their new SN0007. These come in at $280-ish before you start knocking off a few bucks with coupons. You see they refer to the 62 mass in the title of this one. This has got very, very little to do with the 62 mass. Perhaps they both kind of draw inspiration from the same era. Very much a skin diver, very much a Walbrook skin diver. This is not in San Martin's original section, so yeah, I think this is a bit of a copycat, bit of a look-alike of a Walbrook skin diver. Let's get the stickers off this one regardless. Before I've even taken all the stickers off, I've already noticed it has a much bigger clasp on it than the last monoblock did, despite the fact that it is a much smaller watch, and that's because this is one of their new ratcheting on the fly adjustment clasp. Push that back in, yeah, about 1 centimeter or so. That's very nice actually, looks good too. Let's keep going with the stickers. And there it is, most definitely a blue watch. Blue sunburst dial and blue ceramic bezel insert. Yeah, definitely blue and definitely a much smaller watch than the monoblock. I measure it at 37.8. Now they claim it at 37. They could easily claim this one as a 38. They'd probably sell more if they did. 12.8mm thick with a lug-to-lug of 46.2. 20mm lug width, taper down to 18, back up to 20.5 at the clasp, so yeah, definitely less taper and a bigger clasp than the monobloc. Sized up for me, 7-inch wrist, 143 grams. Only 200 meters of water resistant, doesn't really need any more than that being a skin diver. That is double domed sapphire crystal, and this one is powered by a PT5000. If you want to pay $285, bless vouchers. It is also available with an SW200, but that does sting you more than 4. Well, it definitely ticks a couple of the skin diver boxes. Slimish, straightish case profile with drilled lugs because it's a vintage style piece, and beads of rice bracelet, even though that clasp is a little large. I really do love an internally adjustable on the fly clasp, but can't help but think that this should have had the small clasp on it and the monobloc should have had the larger clasp on it. One thing that will be in the moans and niggle section is 90 click bezel. Who thought a 90 click bezel was a good idea ever? Action is okay though, sounds great, and everything lines up, but yeah, 90 click, why? Plus, it's a sterile case back. I don't mind it in certain circumstances, but here, it just feels like they couldn't be bothered putting anything on it. It feels a little bit off the shelf therefore. Wears alright though, definitely still has a bit of presence for a small watch because of the bright blue colour and because of a relatively long 46 lug to lug for a relatively narrow sub 38 profile. Beads of rice, always nice to look at, and yeah, fairly chunky clasp. Overhead legibility is actually pretty good considering it's a relatively small watch. No angled chapter ring on this one helps maximise the dial space, and it's a good size handset, particularly that big arrowhead minute hand. But overall, I'm perhaps not as convinced by this one as I was by the monobloc. Nice big numerals on the dial, kind of mismatched to small, very different numerals on the bezel insert, 90 click bezel, and a rather oversized clasp relative to the head of the watch. Yeah, okay, let's see what's in box number 3. And I say that knowing full well what is inside box number 3. One of my favourite San Martins, now updated with a bunch of new colours. It's their BB Pro lookalike powered by the NH34. Available in orange, green, blue, black and off-white colorways, all coming in at less than $280 once you start chipping away with a couple of vouchers. This thing is so nicely done for the money. I've said it before, if originality is not at the top of your shopping list but build quality is, yeah, there's nothing that can touch one of these for less than $300. Nothing that I have seen to this point anyway. Finishing on that bezel is fantastic. There's a little high polish edge there. So many neat details. Chamfer on the case. Nice oyster style bracelet. And it's the mid-size clasp. So the mid-size watch has the mid-size clasp today. The big watch has the small clasp. And the small watch has the big clasp. How does that work? Now, being conceptually similar, shall we say, to a Tudor Black Bay Pro, you would expect a similar set of dimensions, and yeah, you get them. They call it 39, I measure it at 39.7, so it's almost a 40. Bang on 13mm thick though. Now that is not bad for an NH powered watch, especially one with a 4-hand stack. 48mm lug to lug, 20mm lug width, tapering down to 16, back up to 18.5 at the clasp, sized up for me 143 grams. Now, screw down crown, same as the other two watches today, but the lowest water resistance rating at 100 meters. That is still fine for a sports watch. Again, double domed sapphire crystal and NH34 powered as mentioned. Case finish is very nice, super fine brushing, and those little high polished facets as discussed. Vintage style, double dome sapphire looks really good, but do note zero curvature of that case, a slight downturn to the lugs, but it does wear quite flat. Does have female end links as mentioned though, and a relatively compact 48. It fits me nicely. 3-link oyster style this time with screws and the medium size clasp, again with the hexagon logo set in there. 4 holes of micro adjust, milled upper, milled lower, but no internal adjustment with this one. You're stuck with those 4 holes. I am a fickle so-and-so. I'm going to give the Stenel case back a hall pass this time because it's a Tudor look-alike. It should have a Stenel case back. Applied indices, applied logo, snowflake handset, including a snowflake GMT hand, and a bevel date complication at the 3 o'clock. I love this shade of orange. And that's it on wrist. This one is probably the optimal size for me. I tend to go for just under sub 40, so yeah, it wears pretty nicely. Nicely balanced as well because they chose the medium size clasp rather than the small clasp. Legibility is okay. You'd probably get a better at a glance read on this one if it had the black dial. Silver hands against orange, perhaps not quite having the same level of contrast, but a really nice wrist roll from that fixed stainless steel 24-hour GMT bezel. Nothing major to complain about here. Look elsewhere if you want originality though. As mentioned, the orange makes it look slightly less like a Tudor, which I guess is a good thing if you want that. It's a bad thing if you don't want that. Go for the black one if you want something that looks exactly like a Tudor. Triple unboxing, triple lume video. I'm sure you can identify the watches, but I have attached labels anyway. All look very good initially. 3 different tactics here though. On the left, the MONOBLOC has C3 old radium style but with applied indices. In the middle, the Skin Diver has BGW9 but only a printed dial. On the right, the GMT BGW9 but applied indices. All doing very well initially, but when I turn the speed up, yeah, there's usually a price to pay for C3 old radium. There's usually a price to pay for a printed dial. It's the GMT on the right hanging on in their best at the end, the clear winner. Let's get these outside for a little bit of macro for the conclusions of the day then. What do I think of these 3 new model San Martins? Well, the MONOBLOC at just over $200 gets 2 thumbs up. Very nicely done. Black and gilt looks sensational. And it wears better than you might expect from a 44 because of the taper on the bracelet and because of those female end links. Not a lot of spare links though, do bear that in mind. And I got a decent NH35, you might not get a decent NH35. Just prepare for factory tolerances that are a little bit loose because you ain't fixing this one yourself, you ain't adjusting this one yourself, I promise you that much. The Skin Diver style I'm afraid only gets a maybe. 280 for a PT 5000 is alright, but the bezel numerals don't match the dial numerals. It's a 90 click bezel and it is very much overclasped today. I am going to complain about that adjustable clasp because I just think it is too big for the watch. It should have been on either of the others, but not on this one. So Skin Diver, yeah, question mark. If you love it, go for it, but I didn't love it, put it that way. But I do love the GMT, especially in this new range of colours. It's a nice, almost subtle orange, if orange can ever be described as subtle. I love the fixed bezel. It is beautifully fabricated, this one, so well manufactured. Lots of nice little touches on the case and on the bezel, and I'm fine with 100 meters of water resistance. NH34s are everywhere at the moment, and I have no problem with that whatsoever, especially when they're under 300 US like this one is. So there you have it, 3 new San Martins, 2 yeses and 1 maybe. Perhaps not a lot of originality, but a lot of quality for not a lot of money. If you want to see more San Martin content, click here or click here. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you again soon.